drunk, but I like it.
3 weeks without a video. How could you? It's nice to be back. Hope everyone had a good couple of weeks off over December. So I actually have something to talk about. Despite being ill and missing a few Homebrew Wednesdays, just going to go through some of the plans for 2014 on the brewing front. I'm going to pay a little bit of attention to this beer brought back from a friend from Scotland. It's an absolute beauty. Can't wait to get into it. Let's talk about that for a little bit, shall we? So my mate bought this back from Fife in Scotland. Very kind of him. This isn't a beer I've seen before. It is from the Traquair Brewery, which I believe sort of doubles as like a stately home. I haven't really been many places in Scotland, let alone Fife. It looks nice. It's 8%. Apparently it's quite a dark beer. I'm really looking forward to getting into this. The date on the front is a little bit confusing, actually. It says, what is it? 1745 and 1995. So I was thinking, right, okay, so was this beer made in 1995? It turns out that the house is as old as 1745, but they officially started brewing as a company in 1995. I was thinking to myself, this beer can't be 19 years old, can it? That's virtually impossible, which it's not, but I just thought it might be a bit of an improbable situation. So yes, it says brewed at Traquair House, in Lightburn, Peeblesshire. And then on the back, I'll read the description. The famous bare gates guarding the approach to Traquair House near Peebles have been closed since 1745, when the last person to pass through them was Bonnie Prince Charlie. Now, 250 years later, the ancient Traquair Brewhouse celebrates the Jacobite cause by producing this potent spiced ale to a traditional fine recipe. Sip slowly and remember the old toast to the king over the water. So yes, it's a Jacobite style ale. I'm going to have it at room temperature because personally, when I think back to the Jacobite times, I imagine them having an entire jug full of ale, which they would have had with maybe a couple of turkey legs and some wenches. So let's crack into it, shall we? Rock on. One thing I forgot to mention, this is a spiced ale. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of spices come out of it. I did a little bit of research into Traquair House, and apparently this beer is finished with coriander. So it's quite a refreshing aftertaste. So that'd be interesting. Why does it always happen this way when you shoot an entire video and it just doesn't choose to record? It's just a joke. Yeah, I sort of have half drunk it because the video didn't record, so let's do it all again, I suppose. Yeah, this is a nice beer. This is a nice beer. If Scotland's got more of this, I'm going there. Considering it's been produced by essentially a stately home, it's glorious. On the aroma, it's a little bit of Play-Doh, actually. Can you believe that? That sweet, sort of thick, doughy aroma. You know when you was a kid and you used to like put Play-Doh through the little machine and like squeeze out shapes, and your mum was like, whatever you do, don't eat it, otherwise you're going to have severe problems when you're on the bog later. And as much as you try and restrain yourself, you do find yourself actually trying some Play-Doh to see what it tastes like. The majority of the time it's quite salty, but I remember it sort of being like just sort of like thick cake mix. Quite disgusting now I think about it, but yeah, there's a little bit of like Play-Doh aroma in there, which is quite nice actually. You know, that's sort of a little bit nostalgic. You can definitely smell a little coriander, sort of like a caramel, sweet caramel, a little bit smoky, maybe like biscuity malts, slightly roasted barley malt, very slightly. On the flavour, you can't get any alcohol at all, none. I'm just going to make sure it's actually recording. Yeah. yeah, like it's so smooth. It's got a very lovely mouthfeel. I wouldn't say the finish is very long. Yeah, sweet finish. Slightly, I wouldn't say it's overly bitter. It's very much on sort of the sweet side. I'd say you're almost getting a little bit of warmth, almost like you would get with maybe like a Scottish whiskey. So I don't know whether they're trying to sort of like keep up with the stereotype of like Scottish people being whiskey heads, but that is a solid beer to start 2014. I definitely want to go to Scotland if there's more where that came from. So what's going on in 2014 brewing wise? Well, hopefully I'm going to get an all grain situation up and running. Going to buy it all bit by bit. Last year I was talking about whether or not to go with an English style mash tun or an American style mash tun, which is sort of the cylindrical, tall, bucket like ones. They're usually red, I think. After much deliberation, considering the size and the height of this shed, I think it's probably a wise idea to go with the English cooler box style mash tun, because I was thinking about gravity, as in like falling apples gravity, not sugar content, alcohol content gravity. I was considering the height of the shed, and I was thinking if I'm going to use an American style mash tun, it's tall. It's going to need more headroom between the top of it and the hot liquor tank if I'm going to run this whole system off gravity. But of course, the English style cooler box mash tun, it's wider than it is taller, so there's going to need less elevation between the hot liquor tank, the mash tun, and the boiler. Because essentially, we all know this. There's like pretty much everybody's system is sort of like in tiers, like a 3-tier system, I guess you could say. I was thinking about a small motor. I've seen that before on YouTube. People have rigged up a motor, sort of like a flexible pipe that goes from their hot liquor tank, that runs to a motor, that runs to another piece of flexible pipe that runs into the mash tun. So they can have the hot liquor tank on exactly the same level as the mash tun, and the motor does all the work pumping that water into the mash tun before you mash in. It seems like such a good idea. It seems like a lot less effort as well. The situation I've got is finding an appropriate motor that is made for liquids. I was thinking maybe a motor for like a fish tank for the pump. So I'm going to do a bit of research into that, and also some flexible piping which is food safe and that isn't going to just sort of wear down on the inside or start producing any off flavours. That's really something that we don't want. So yeah, there's that. I'm just looking forward to building the thing. It's just going to be one piece at a time, as it is with everyone on YouTube when they've sort of done the path to all grain. So we'll see how that all goes. Eventually, I'd like to have a 60-litre setup when everything's in place and got really good efficiency and so on. Step up from maybe 30 litres to 60 litres, 5 gallons to 10, I think. Yeah, because these vessels here, these buckets for brewing in, they can hold 60 litres just fine. So I'd like to push the equipment to its limit. The biggest issue I've got is obviously finding a mash tun that's big enough that can do 60 litres, and at the same time can do a 30-litre batch no problem, because when you consider buying a 60-litre mash tun, I'm thinking if I do 30 litres in it and essentially it's like half full, how is that going to affect the efficiency? Because there's obviously a less quantity of water in there. You know how it is. I was just getting a little bit technical. I was looking at every little detail, thinking, like thermic loss. How much temperature is it going to lose if there's only 30 litres in the mash tun as opposed to the volume that it can take? So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. It's just money in it, bit by bit. I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. What everyone said about the first beer. What should be the first beer? I do agree. On doing like a stout or a porter. It would be nice to do something like this, because this isn't a stout or porter by any means. It's sort of like it's like a really, really dark red ale. Do you know what I mean? Like, it probably looks very dark from where you're sitting, but I can see through it. It's got a really brown, reddy tinge to it. And I just think I would like to produce something a little bit more delicate and lighter than a porter or a stout, but something, like everybody said, could still stand up to the first time brewing and still turn out to be like a relatively good beer, instead of doing like a really light beer and it turning out to be crap, because I'm obviously still getting used to the process, still getting used to the equipment. So thank you. Everyone's advice has been monumental. I hope 2014 in brewing terms is going to be a good one for everyone. Hopefully some of you lot have got some really cool plans, maybe some upgrades to your equipment, some changes. That would be really nice to see. I'm finally starting to catch up on everybody's videos after a very long hiatus, after being ill and just sort of chilling out over the holidays. It will be nice to get back and look at everyone's videos and see what they've been up to. I probably missed out on about like 6 weeks of videos. So that would be great. That would be absolutely fantastic. Just happy Homebrew Wednesday. Thank you for watching. Ah, that is glorious. Well done, Scotland.